So we're all set up. For Sparta, it's kind of easy. There's one place that I can take, which is Messenia here. There's 8 points of city. Once I have that, then I can start building more land units and maybe start expanding into Arcadia, etc. But for the initial, hey, let's get some cash right off the bat. Over here, for Attica, it's a little harder. There's nothing I can take in one turn. In 2 turns, I can add one thing. The best thing that I think I can add is probably Yubo. That's probably what's intended to be taken. There are other things I could take that are as good. Maybe my most attractive thing is down here at Chalcedisi. Maybe I want to go for that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Unfortunately, I can't get there in one turn and start capturing things, and that'll take me 2 turns to take anyway. So I'm going to try to focus on taking stuff up here. One reason I want to take things like this is they come with the capacity to build land units. Land units are my problem. Just like the Spartans aren't going to be able to build navies, the Athenians have a hard time building land units. And that's perfectly appropriate. It's a little, the game handles this in a gamey sort of way, but that's fine. Okay, let's take a look at the sequence of play and see that we get things done right. First thing is treasury phase. The Spartans go first. And by the way, there's 8 months in each of these. So those first 2 turns, we can spread out quite a bit. It's not like, oh, we only get 2 turns to do things. No. But it's nice to grab as much as you can, as quickly as you can, because the treasury phase happens every single turn. I had thoughts that maybe, it's a yearly thing, but it's not. Okay. So the Spartans have the capacity to have 8 units. Well, that's what they start with. And then I've split up into a stack with a 5-point unit. We'll get that moving. We'll leave a unit back here. 1, 2, 3 to here. And then we have a 3-point stack here, which will move here. We have now taken Messenia. And I'm going to have to get some paper and pencil for this. I can put a little marker here or something. If I had some tiddlywinks, that would be really useful, because then I could use it without destroying what's shown. But anyway, we've captured ourselves a territory. Next turn, we'll have 11 income. And that means we can build a unit. Okay, and then we go over. We see nothing exciting happen. We go over to the Athenian turn. I've got 5 here, which I'll sail to here. I'm going to need that 5 up here. Let's get this guy 1, 2, 3, 4 down here. And we have taken 2 of the cities, and they just fall. They're being convinced. No need for battle or anything. And I've taken 2 of the cities over on Yubo, and that's the end of the first turn. Boom, boom. Start with the Athenians was less than clever by moving down to here, but from the 5 space I could have moved down to here. And then if I brought, I had an extra leader with me. You know what? I think I can do this actually. Let me see. I had this set up. No, because my navy can't get any further. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so I ended up kind of screwing up and not taking Yubo, which means it's going to be a little longer before I get the production from that. That's going to be a minor flaw in my plan. Meanwhile, it's not like the Spartans have gained their location. Their second location. They're not able to do that. They only had 1 extra unit. They would have needed 3 to take Arcadia. But we're going to build up as much as we can of that, Peloponnesian powerhouse to be able, to start influencing forward. Now, for us, we don't get navies until we get to the isthmus. And even then, we don't get many. Started tracking cash income with kind of an income chart. For actual cash, I could use poker chips or something, and I have multiple colors, so if I want to, I certainly can. But right now, I'm just keeping track of the fact that I've got one extra land point. Remember, I had 8, 11. I spent 8 plus 2 to build one. It's 10, so I have 1 left for the Spartans. I'm just going to keep track of it like this, but I'll probably switch to chips as I start to deplete the counter mix. You can see, previous play, I never even accessed all of the Athenian counter mix. I also got these if I need some cubes or something for control markers. So let's look at the next turn. It's 8, 11. I've got 9, so I get 2 extra points. I can spend those 2 extra to get myself 1 more unit. And I'll put that over here. I still may have some issues, but now I have to kind of optimize how I'm going to do my movement so that I get Arcadia and as much of Argolit as I can, or whatever, or maybe the Isthmus. There's a little puzzle factor to all of that. I'm not going to try to optimize too hard. One important factor, which I'm rolling back to allow, I gotta leave a garrison back here, or else I lose and have to start all over. Or at least I can't collect income. The way the rules are written, I think I just can't collect income. But obviously I've been collecting the income, so I'll build the strength point there instead. It makes it harder to figure out that little optimization problem, though. And now we have Arcadia as well. And 4, if there was anything over in Persia, we'd have to make a check. We don't, so we keep going. Now we're at 12, 15, and I don't know what I have in troops. You can keep a running total of troops too. That should be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 strength points of units. So I'm going to get 5 extra bucks, which means I can build a couple extra units. And see, getting things set up with Athens is just more technically difficult. They have Skyros, but now they're going into Chalcidice. They're in Lemnos. They've got 2 out of the 3. But now I want to start capturing stuff over here. I'm just having a harder time getting things placed than the Spartans do, who have captured the Isthmus now. They can also walk right through Attica. It doesn't matter if they're not at war. They can still wander through it. They can't do the invasion of Attica, which would have been nice last turn. If they had been in this space, they would get a pile of money, not here. And that's going to be a really, really valuable source of income. And that covers the fact that the Spartans regularly raided the Athenian grain. That's handled in Pericles in a different sort of fashion. This sort of honor thing that happens, you don't really get anything out of it militarily. You get something out of it militarily here. All you get in that is victory points. Realistic, the grain that was captured from Attica was as a value to the Spartans of some question. What it really was it prevented Athens from fielding a large land army. They couldn't field a big enough army to defend themselves, and it took away their capacity to do so because they didn't have the excess grain. But they were getting that grain from elsewhere through their trading. So how much, it doesn't actually hurt them in this game. It didn't hurt them in Pericles. The question is, how much does it actually help Sparta? Well, you want to make sure they do it, and there's no mechanism in this game like the honor mechanism to drive that. So, hey, have tons of money, build more forces. We're babbling without playing, of course. That extra money is kind of a double-edged sword. It can be very, very dangerous. You get this huge influx of cash one turn, but that's $10 that has to last you 8 turns. So essentially it means you can get 1 extra strength point over the course of a year. And at the end of the first of the big expansion turns, you can see the Spartans have gotten everything except Ellis down here. They've gotten through. They haven't taken Anatolia yet. They still have this space to take. This becomes kind of complicated because I'm going to be walking away from the game at this point. And I have to remember they don't own this. I can look here and see it. How you record this, the mechanisms for keeping track of, what you own and what you don't, that's actually somewhat problematic. There's no question about that. A per town tracking might be nice, maybe some kind of little app that does it, whatever. That would be all very useful, but as the game was designed, it's kind of problematic. And they show you a way to do it, but man, it's still not trivial because you have to keep track of each city that you've walked through. And I'm doing that with these and the recording of the things, and then using the cache markers here. Athens, I have definitely not gone optimally with the Athenians. The thing is, I did kind of strike out to get some of the land capability, and then, if I can't build up a big enough land force to take Thrace. That's kind of the problem with all this, but I'll be able to pull forces back, maybe grab like Lesbos and Cyclades, Samos, all that kind of stuff, and then improve my naval at some point. But right now, I'm behind. There's no question of that. And they have a harder job. They really do. Now, one or another player can go after Sicily. It's a risk. But if you're kind of falling behind in the way that I feel like Athens is, it becomes more appealing to take the shot at it. We'll see. All right. Beginning of the second month, or whatever it is, but the second part of the second of the expansion turns. Both sides are really kind of advancing into what they're weak in. You see the Spartans aiming to get some naval power. At the very least, they can go for Sicily. I think it's more likely Sparta will go for it because they're closer. But they may want to take the naval engagement right off the bat and get themselves in trouble there. And on the other side of things, has fallen. The Athenians are trying to build up some kind of land power. If they get enough of it, they can actually, take things like Thrace or Macedonia, which start to increase their land production quite significantly. In the second period, Sparta actually reached something of a milestone where they're starting to stockpile points. This is probably a sign that I may need to get coins or something, but it's hard to tell. Well, I'll wait until the counter mix actually starts to be taxed. The point being, I got enough for my 4 leaders to do what they want to do. Athens isn't quite at that point yet. They're a little behind the ball. And I think of places, it's just harder with the navies, and I'm not terribly good at doing things that are harder. So, you get things like Lemnos here that they haven't conquered yet, but, are clearly within their sphere, and they probably could have with a little bit more cleverness. Something like Thessaly that they would love to take, and Sparta would love to take too, but Sparta's going to have to build an army big enough to get in there. Because basically you need 5 strength points to take a territory, and it takes a while to do so. It would take them some little effort to get up into there. So not only do I need the 5, but I need the 1 garrison too, because I got a 5 force here. Epirus, not such a great idea. This area is clear right now, so I can run through there and start to grab these naval actions. I've got my Spartan navy going up to take the important Corcyra. It's expensive to take in terms of total number of turns, but it's got a good payoff, 5 boats. So that's pretty sweet. Jump that Sparta's gotten itself off to. It's just got more production. I don't have a sum for it, but it's so good that I'm kind of worried that Athens is going to have to take the risky actions. And I actually think that's kind of how the game is designed. That you have to take risky actions like either Persia or Sicily with Athens to have a shot at winning the game. Persia looks the easier for me to actually undertake. There's a good chance that I have to fight the army in Sicily no matter what. But the Persian thing, it's going to generate a huge navy, one that might destroy the Athenian navy if I interfere over there. And that's kind of the danger. On the other side, Athens has the advantage of being able to interfere in Spartan income without really winning battles, because naval power can inject itself by building the fortresses. So maybe that's the edge that'll change this. And as we move into the last turn of the last month, whatever, of the pre-cold to the actual game, get everything set up, Sparta definitely has more cash in terms of what they can build. They have a huge amount of infantry stocks. You got some nice naval stock being built up, though, by the Athenians. And Sparta started to move into the Cyclades. They're in position here to challenge at Macedonia, as well as setting up a force that can go to Sicily. Try to nail down, the victory at this point in the game, as far as I can see it. What is the problem with all this? Well, not much except for the Cyclades action. A lot of Athenian ships have gathered around there. And now I'm in the position where, I can either start challenging Cyclades and actually taking things and thus, maybe forcing the Athenians to fight a battle to gain control of it, or I'm not in range to strike any of those Athenian forces, and they can gather and create something kind of scary for me. And that's actually where the game gets its stasis element. The fact that you can't take the other player out without taking out where he's strongest. And there's some question as to whether the damn thing should ever end, actually. If you don't make a blunder like Sicily was historically, but actually it might have to be a bigger blunder, like bringing the Persians in or something. The game may stay in a static situation throughout. What happens when you get to the end of the game? Yeah, nothing. I think the game just continues. The turn track doesn't go past 402, but that's a lot of fucking turns. And that's kind of what we've always seen is what's going to break this game open? And I think that's the question. So far, we haven't seen any action happening, but I'm already beginning to project from my prior plays that this is going to kind of freeze up. What it ends up with, kind of like a Kingmaker game or something, the old Avalon Hill game, in that, you just can't get a grasp on the other person, and the game's going to just continue forever. That's my fear. That's kind of what my memory is. Is that terrible? No, it kind of shows the situation. If you don't do something horribly stupid to try to win the game, you can probably prevent yourself from losing it forever. The other side of it, you got to make up rules for that thing to work. I'm assuming people who enjoyed it either played it like we played Kingmaker, which was, hey, it was fun for a couple hours, and then, at about hour 6, you're realizing this is never going to end, and why are we playing this? And but at least Kingmaker had victory conditions. The Imperial Governors does not really. It has play till a time limit, but that doesn't seem very satisfying given the kind of game that it is. Anyway, we'll keep playing through this one, see if I have the willpower to cope with this. This Imperial Governors has other problems too. That we'll see when we look at it. Some kind of rules that it's not clear are mandatory, or if they're just kind of flavor rules that you don't really need to pester with. And the actual game's about ready to start. We're in 431, and yes, today, big holiday, yesterday, didn't do anything either. I've just been home screwing around, basically, doing very little of any value.
And it's not just, gee, I haven't been playing the game. I've been doing nothing. You know? At least work, I don't feel as guilty because I spend the day working. Um, Even if I do nothing else, but days off, man, I've got nothing to show for it. Not, no walk, nothing. Just sitting in front of the computer watching a stupid animated show that I didn't know existed that I'm not enjoying that much, but it's like watching documentaries or something. Sometimes I can just get sucked in. I even have a computer game I'm playing now that I'm not ashamed of. But anyway, what's going on? Sparta is actually moving to grab Epirus, and they don't have to take it all, but if they take a couple of spaces on their way across, that gets them here as quickly as they can get there, and that gives them the flexibility to grab this with just a couple of turns work. Here, I got a fleet with some forces, possible destination Sicily, but also possible to come around this way. We're here grabbing a space in the Cyclades to make sure that it doesn't fall easily. However, there's a huge Athenian navy with 3 commanders in it, and I can't really stand against that. So it may make sense for me to gather my navy and try to continue building it. You can see I've used up all my naval builds. I have a lot of land builds. Over here, they've used up most of their land builds. They have a lot of naval builds. They grabbed Macedonia. They probably will not get a chance to use it, though, because I think the Spartans are going to run up and grab at least one of these 2 cities and force the issue there. And the Spartans know they have a fair amount of troops there. I don't really know what the stack sizes are for the most part. It's one of the kind of cool things, like with Pericles, not knowing what I was doing is horrible. But with a game like this, having the stacks covered and, not even knowing really what my own stacks are worth in comparison, I have a vague idea. I think the Spartans are ahead in land here. They've got a pretty good force. I'm pretty sure both people know that the Athenian navy is pretty good there. There's some question about this one. It's sufficient to deal with Sicily, is the way I look at it. And that's kind of what I'm used to. And, I may give, someday I may dig Imperium Romanum, maybe soon, Imperium Romanum back up and give that a shot again, playing with I don't fucking know what I've got in my stacks. I don't think that's going to prevent me from having the big battles, though. You still want to consolidate your forces and you still want to smash them together. And dividing your forces is asking them to be mopped up. And that's the key problem with the game, not the hidden forces. I've gotten into some discussions with people about maybe the hidden forces aren't such a good idea, but I'm seeing them working out pretty well here. I'm pretty sure I played with them in IR2. And yeah, there's also Alexander, which I haven't finished up, and I got some SPQR stuff. It's just like, man, there's all kind of shit that like I've left scenarios behind. SPQR did a pretty good job. I think I'm trying to gin myself up to not playing Imperial Governors, maybe. I don't know. I really don't know. But yeah, we're about ready to jump in, and let's see how this starts to flow. And for the Spartan turn, they move forward here, slip around the back here, get closer. It would have been the same either way. I like that better. It gives me a little bit more flexibility. And I'm gathering these together. I'm scared of that fleet. I abandoned this completely. I don't want there to be a fight there. I got to think about trying to get a commander and some troops in the Attica area, so that when it comes to the invasion of Attica, I can have, I think I need 6 troops in this space in order to steal that $10. Mainly because I just don't feel any other way that I can kind of get a grasp on the enemy. Athens has kind of a more powerful ability, creating more money. Well, I mean, that $10, that can build me 5 ships for a turn. But it can get me ships for a couple of turns, and if I'm going to fight a naval battle, then I'll be below my limit again. But the The bonus with the Athenian one is they can actually reduce the productive capability that the Spartans have if we can land on some of the coast. And that's especially important if we can cut away some of their naval capabilities, say at the isthmus. It's going to be a lot harder to get over to this side of the board, though. Aetolia isn't too bad. Interesting facet. Let's take a look at at least what I read about this map in the Bulls. Is the isthmus here has the capacity to build ships and have them on either side over on the Roman map. However, that system of pulling ships across the isthmus was actually a bigger deal at this point in time, and it's not possible here. The special rule for that is only in the imperial governor scenario, and it specifies it's the fact that it's a single hex that has two borders on it. I don't think they made any that are like that here that are susceptible to that. They were very careful to put little bits of border, so that you're always in a different hex. I gotta be kind of careful with the Spartans here. One of the reasons they ran away, they have a lot of land troops. They can't get caught fully at sea now. Like someplace like this, they're fine, they're on an island. The land troops can shoot arrows or whatever at the triremes as they're sailing by. I have no idea. It makes sense if you're actually invading the territory, but there's plenty of room in these hexes that ships could be fighting away from the shore and not be influenced. So I guess they wade out and attack. I don't know. But if I'm out at deep sea, I can be hit. Now, there's no random events in this game. There's no capability for the Athenians to come charging across. It's all kind of out in the open, except for how many troops you got and what your die roll is going to be on this. All right, let's see what the Athenians do. And not a whole hell of a lot on their side. Move forward and capture the rest of the Cyclades. Getting them within striking distance of the Spartans. The Spartans have to retreat. What does that mean? Well, that might mean that the Athenian navy goes in and, lands on Argolid or in the isthmus and starts to try to build fortresses and cut back on what Sparta can avail itself of. Back here, I couldn't really run through. We'll see what's going to happen. Macedonia doesn't look like something we can hold. I would have liked to have just run my leader back to Chalcedea and try to get some additional forces into that theater. But I don't have a lot of additional land that I can build. And I can't just demobilize things. Remember, it costs like $3 to demobilize. So it's really, really hard. So the fact that I have land garrisons here, I might end up wanting to switch them to Navy, but there's a significant cost to that. $2 for the Navy plus $3 for the land unit that I'm removing. $5. That's 5 turns of support for that army unit. It's not a quick way to change things, but I felt like I needed a big navy here, so I was willing to expend at least this military unit. The biggest thing is the army unit couldn't have been used in deep sea fights, and I don't know what the Spartans have there. I might have a fair idea. I also don't know what their cash on hand is, so but I could probably make some estimates, but I don't try to do that too much. I know that if I was playing this opposed, I would have a really hard time grasping what my opponent actually had, which I think is kind of cool. It creates more of a fog of war than if you really analyzed the game too much. But it's a fog of war through laziness rather than a fog of war through, the rules actually impose it on you. You have a pretty good idea how big the Spartan navy actually is, or at least the limit that it can be. Just like the Spartans have a pretty good idea of just what the limit of the Athenian army is, and then I can look around and see, well, they've got a couple of pieces out there. I don't see any Spartan navies kicking around that are loose. So my feeling is that these stacks are mainly boats. I'm wrong, but so that puts us on turn 2, and this terrain is now clear. We'll see what happens. Very strange game. Unlike IR2, unlike most games, some of the SE4X type things have this, where basically each turn of movement you get new production. So once you capture something, you immediately produce stuff at it. It's a very quick turnaround. In a month you can build whatever it builds in terms of units. So this can build 4 ships, and then you can set out with those anyway. Because of that, things can turn very quickly in terms of a quick capture of something. How realistic that is, it doesn't seem very realistic, especially when you're talking about throwing together a trireme navy or something, but whatever. It's not like these countries, these cities don't have their own fleets already. You're not working from nothing, but you might be if there's significant destruction. So that's not really covered well. So there's an abstraction in place that has some unbelievable aspects to it. But anyway, we've split up our Athenians. We've got a force heading this way. Happens to be big enough to build a fortress so that we can blockade things. And then we've got our main battle fleet heading this way to make sure that the Spartans can't challenge our naval dominance here. Our land dominance, it's at risk. We know that. But we honestly do not have enough extra land production to make up for these guys. Giving them Macedonia, then they'll just have more production. We probably can't face them on land, but at least slow them down and make them work their way across here if they're going to strip away things there. And then the hop, this is hard enough to maneuver around. The hop from here over into, the Constantinople region, etc. That's going to be really, really painful for them. And this is not where Chersonesus is, but whatever. And that kind of confuses me. The Golden Horn, Chersonesus is up on the Black Sea, if I recall correctly. But anyway, as long as the Athenians have either of these, they are safe. Now the problem is, though, the Spartans eventually will be capturing things that have some naval capacity, and thus they can start building fleets. And there's no real Athenian power in the back area back here. My fleet is here, my army's there, that's it. I got this little auxiliary fleet. For the Spartans, my fleet is here. I've got an army that I disembarked. I could perhaps pick it up and use it in a land battle. I have an extra leader here to do that with, but my hope is, or my plan is really to use that for the raids, because I don't think that I can really challenge the Athenian Navy, although I might take a chance with my whole stack. Might as well lose it all, right? And you probably will. Well, you probably will be turned around badly, because the thing is, if you can't attack, if you don't have that 125%, and your opponent has something, he's got a shot at wiping you out on your next turn, on his next turn. So if he's got the military odds, it's been revealed, and he can smack into you. Over here, I'm hoping to be able to take this. I don't know for sure. Because I do have some forces allocated over here and some forces allocated over here. But otherwise, I'm kind of spread out with one per space. Boeotia is a little overrepresented. The Isthmus is a little overrepresented. The idea here was, well, I wanted to build things up to go into Attica. Mainly it's that I didn't have enough shipping to move things around. But, yeah. So that's where we are. Spartan side of the turn, they keep moving through Epirus. I consolidated my forces with the ground forces on Laconia. The idea here being, hey, I have my challenge. If Athens wants to attack it, that's fine. Otherwise, I'm going to be moving my force around. They're going to have their opportunity to build their fortress or whatever, but, they're not going to really be able to fight me where I'm not on land. There are risks to that, though. For example, the Athenian Navy could go sailing around this way. Of course, if it does, that exposes all of this. So there's kind of you have to meet the enemy's big stack with your big stack. there might be this situation where there's a big stack here and a big stack here for both sides. That could end up splitting up. You could end up seeing something like that. But as with Imperium Romanum, it makes more sense to have your infinite stack where it can be. There's no supply problems in this game, so screw it, man. You know, if I can wipe out half their force and start pillaging things, I will end up ahead, even if they start stealing some of my stuff. Of course, there's more valuable things. Corsair is more valuable than anything over here, but everything over here is more valuable navally than everything over here, right? We do have the attack, though. So let's see what we got. 10 strength points. And I should have a little battle marker or something. To 6, 11 strength points. I failed to attack. Now, the Athenians can't come back and attack me with the city forces. So we're not going to take Macedonia the way things are. Neither side's got it. That's kind of a stalemate. Nothing can be done about it. Of course, the Spartans could run down and challenge something else, and then the Athenians will be forced to respond to that. But right now, I was hoping to be able to take this, at least get a 125 attack where I have some chance of taking everything before they go running off. Didn't happen. And I can't build more troops. I'm not in friendly territory yet. Epirus isn't going to be friendly, but these guys can come and join, and that'll give me probably that 125. I hope. I don't know. What did I say there was? 11. 25% of 11 is going to be 3. So I'll call it 14. Yeah, I will have enough if I bring these guys in. There's 5 strength points in there. But that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 turns away. Things aren't going to be the way they are in 5 turns. And for the Athenian turn, they're standing where they are in case they have to run. No reason to leave Macedonia yet. I mean, if we run, we'll lose our land advantage, and there will be problems. So we got to stay there, but that probably means the Spartans will go running down. The Athenian navy gathers together here in Argolid, and in a position where they're threatening to build their fortress, which, you know, will start cutting into the land capacity of the Spartans, which is obviously way more than they need. Athens doesn't have way more navy than they need. They're actually, I think, at their limit right now. So if they build another navy, for whatever, you know, by any means, then they may be in the position where, like if they build an additional fleet, they'll be paying for that fleet out of their treasury for the rest of the game. Well, until there's a battle. In terms of land, they're exactly even as well. And they only have enough money to build 1 more land unit. And if they build that, they will have to disband the next turn. So that puts us down here. There will not be a Persian intervention because nothing was done down here. Rhodes didn't switch hand. It didn't become anyone's. Crete hasn't become anyone's. Sicily obviously is open. And then over here, Macedonia and Epirus and Thrace are still open. So those are the things that have not fallen to someone yet, and it doesn't look like they will. It feels like we've divvied up the map. We're at the point where the decision has to be made at some point. Given that the Athenian navy is placed here on a land space, which it has to be to build a fortress, obviously, I think we're going to see a battle there, or an attempt at one. There's enough Spartan money that they can pick up an additional probably 12 units and come in. So they probably will have the strength advantage. That's my hope from their point of view. And indeed are running down into Chalcidice. Make a threat down there, see what happens. If we get away lucky, we may end up capturing all of that, but I don't know. This is a 6. That's not trivial to attack even. And we have 10 strength points. That's 150. Means out of 5 or 6 we get to smash into there and destroy a strength point, maybe for more of our own. And then there's the forces here, which could either come down and take the rest of Macedonia, or try to defend what's in my hinterlands there and prevent Sparta from building up a navy there, which would cause all kind of complexity. But the big battle is here. So let's count it up. I'm going to do this off camera because counting it's tough. It's 25, 30, 34 I consolidated. 34 to 27. 27 divided by 4 is 7, rounding. So I actually have the 125, barely. I roll a die, only on a 6 do we see anything happen. And I'll be able to build a fortress, which will make it impregnable. But not entirely. Macedonia can build another strength point there and throw things in. We get a 2, that's no effect. So we're just sitting here watching each other doing nothing. Okay, now it's on the Athenian turn and they have to make their decisions because the Spartans ran down. Any effectual battles here? The force here is not big enough to take on the Spartans, and these guys aren't big enough for that, so they went down and grabbed a city instead. They're going to try to take Macedonia. Ignore the Spartans, who are up to something that's worse, but whatever, you know, if I get an army here, maybe I can come down and take Thessaly. Who knows what the hell happens. I am sending a leader running up here. He's pretty safe. He can't walk through these, but he can walk through the city, and he can get to Attica and then lead forces. If he gets killed, he shows up in Attica, so it's not really that big a deal. It would be worse if I wasn't trying to get to where I'll show up anyway. But yeah, I feel like I need to split up my forces. Sparta's not going to get the points for this turn. Does it matter? Not terribly. They have a huge extra income. But they're going to have to keep building forces and see if they can break this. They also have to be there, I think. Let's see. It's only 4 strength points. And it only has to reach there on turn 6. So conceivably, I could actually send forces there. However, that would mean not being able to complete this. That 10 points, is it worth more than 4 points a turn for this? I don't know. But, I mean, obviously it's not, but I'm going to be attacking where I need a 6 to win, whereas this action is pretty guaranteed. So, and I can also use that and grab money for ships if I want. I have to divide the money up when I get it, though, and that's kind of the problem. Apparently last turn I got over exuberant with the Spartans, building up a huge army here, spending all my extra, well, a lot of my extra cash, and this time I was actually $8 over on my maintenance. I have enough money left to build one more unit if I want to, but I'm not going to be able to do anything too exciting with this. Could I get to this space is the question. Well, if I'm here, which I am, I can come 1, 2, 3, 4, and get there with my 4 strength points or whatever, and thereby raid Attica. So I think I'm going to try to arrange that because I don't think I have the strength to crack this. My navies, I'm a little ahead in the navies, but you know, I could build one navy, but I have no easy way to move it anywhere because by naval production, the Isthmus has one. If I do things properly, maybe I can get there. I'm kind of here playing 1 month, probably. Simply, we'll see. But I'm trying to drag myself away. Last night after I played this, I played my stupid online game that, whatever. But that's just baked into the equation at this point. But I've started playing this other video game that I'm not ashamed of, and it kept me up all night. And I took a nap, but I'm kind of still pooped out. Like I took a nap after work. And yeah, I still feel kind of dull and stupid. So, of course, I want to play more video games. Hard call. I'm thinking about this again. So, I think I have to do something. Getting the money might be the answer. But we're in real trouble, actually. First of all,
I've got a split naval land force. Wherever my navy moves, the Athenian navy can go crush it. If I keep a significant portion of my land force with it, though, it'll be safe. Wherever, so it's possible for me to get here, but I'm not going to have the continued cash to keep this force together at the strength that it's at. It's going to start disbanding stuff, or I'm going to start disbanding even more important things like pieces that are garrisoning territories, which is problematic. So maybe I have to give this up, or maybe I can't launch a battle here. I remember too close to 1-1, but I could end up taking Chalcidia away, and then just see how things play out. But yeah, we've got real problems at this point because of that over expenditure to get to that 125. Now I can make another attack at the 125. I think. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Nah, I can't actually. Well, I need more than one more strength point. I'm at 28 to 35, right? No, to 34. So actually I need one more strength point is all I need, which I have the cash for. So I could take one more shot at winning the battle on a 6. And if I win that battle, that's a huge swing. On the other hand, 5 out of 6 times, I'm not going to get the advantage there. But next turn I can get the extra 10 bucks. Of course, next turn I'll have to suffer first. I don't see anywhere I'm going to gain money. This guy is creeping his way through Epirus. This guy's not going to be able to gain anything. So it's looking like a really problematic situation for Sparta. Wow. 1 in 6 chance of a victory here seems better than the slow degeneration that's going to happen no matter what. So we're going to take a crack at it. I'm not thrilled with it. Well, we'll do that first because I have that calculated out. I'm also attacking up here. But on a 6, I win. I don't win. Okay. Oh, well. So here I have 10 to 6. A quarter of 6 is like 2. Half of 6 is 3. So I actually have 150%. Which means on a 5 or a 6, I win the battle there. I don't win there either. We're in trouble. We would have liked to have cut the Chalcidice money. Killing the unit actually was less important. I could have just gone here and captured a space. But I did not. That's going to hand things in, but it's not like Sparta, or it's not like Athens didn't make some mistakes. So now we'll go to the Athenian turn. Kind of interesting. I'm looking over my list and I don't see Argolid on here, which means actually I'm owed back some money. I took the penalty for that. I probably have a lot of extra money, but I just do not see them. That's Arcadia, I think. Argos. Argos might be Argolid. I don't think there's an Argos that's separate. I bet you I just wrote it down as Argos because it comes out 4 dash, and I don't think there's an Argos that's different. So yeah, it's actually there. Athens, who's running kind of close, isn't really aware of how big a problem Sparta's in. They think they're, this is 2 turns in a row they've been able to get that 1 in 6 chance of blowing things up. So we left there, and we're going up to Megaria here, where we have a ton of troops, 25, 26, 27, facing, and we went and captured Macedonia as well, facing 4, 27 to 4. That's 7 to 1. That's sufficient for an automatic victory, but we do get possible penalties off this because they're in a fort. We have to go for a city. We can't just kill this piece that's sitting out there. So there's some chance we could take casualties off of this. We don't, but the biggie is we manage to steal now the isthmus away instead of Argolid, and we give Argolid back. Well, I have to erase that. I erased Macedonia. We give Argolid back, but now we cancel out the isthmus, which means we change kind of the money dynamic a little bit. Deal is we didn't have to leave here, but if we leave here, we more or less have to keep our force together. It's possible we could see what the Spartans had, navy-wise. They could attack a land area with 30 strength points. Our strength is not really big enough to be able to overwhelm that in any sense. Maybe we could slip something by, but whatever we tried to run away with, the Spartans could go slam and destroy with their whole force. And again, I feel like whole force operations are really what you kind of have to do unless you end up in a position where you're not doing that. So like where the Spartans are here, they got some forces that aren't part of their whole force. If they were down there, they'd be in better shape, but they're not. So, they're engaging in other places rather, with those excess forces. That's just how things kind of devolved. But getting your forces together so that you can get maybe that 1 in 6 chance or whatever. That's kind of what you have to do, and I'm going to be in trouble on my next turn. The Athenians do not quite realize the Spartans are in this trouble, though. During the Spartan maintenance phase, where they had to destroy this entire army of 10 strength points, now Athens realized it actually had Sparta on the ropes more than it thought, and probably should have stayed in Argolid, where it's costing them more of their ground strength rather than their naval. But now that we're actually costing them on the naval side too, where they're going to have to pull into these. I haven't figured out what to do with these, but those guys got destroyed. These guys are pushing forward to taking Epirus, and now what? Try to defend Thessalia against the Macedonian forces, I guess, but we probably can't. We're probably in a lot of trouble. So we shall see. The worst of all is we can't even do the attack here anymore because we don't have enough shipping to carry all of our land units, and our land units can't 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They can't walk far enough. Athens is playing a cute little game of whack-a-mole. We got a few extra points, so we left a garrison in that city and moved down and took one of the Argolid cities now, which means we're really kind of cutting into Spartan money now. Hey, Athens is supposed to win the early part of the game. Here we have 7-4. That's going to be, sounds like 175. I don't think there's a 175. I think 150. Yeah. So on a 5 or a 6, we take that unit out. And we feel like we have the initiative right now. Hey, we win. We do lose a quarter of our army, though. Quarter of 7 is going to be 2. But we've also taken Thessaly away, which is going to start really causing problems. And Sparta, it's possible that this just means downward spiral. It really is. That as soon as somebody gets the grip on someone else, they've won the game. I'm not sure of that. The times that I've played, we had something kind of weird where it didn't devolve right into this standoff. Well, the one time that I played, that I can really remember this game, we ended up playing Ring Around the Rosie, and it was really pathetic. So I don't know how this is going to play out. But right now it looks to me like Athens has got the advantage on Sparta. The rule on lost leaders, both sides have lost a leader. They're not lost when they don't come back immediately. And they come back at the first turn of the next year in the home city. That can be a pretty hefty loss. I don't know how much it matters with just 2 stacks facing each other off and a couple of stacks up here, but it does take away your flexibility. You have to figure out how to get your leader to somewhere useful. That can be really problematic. You can't launch an attack from nowhere. You're going to have to sail them somewhere in a boat. What we're seeing, though, is the advantage of mobility over size. Sparta had the size. Athens had the mobility and the capability to fight either at sea or on coastal hexes. So the only way Sparta could say, well, gosh, at least the inland spaces are all safe. And they are. They are all safe from the Athenians. The Athenians aren't going to be able to take those anytime easily. But I don't know if there's many provinces
that don't contain at least one place that's accessible by water, and that's going to be troublesome. And then there's the fortresses, which can reduce the income as a whole. As long as the Spartan Empire is fairly large, though, I don't think we're at the end by any means, just because of this one little victory coming up. Yeah, in terms of position. Sparta's counter is going to be to try to take the isthmus back, and they're sending their fleet elsewhere. Now their fleet's in danger. There's a possibility that the Athenian fleet is going to go try to crush that. But these guys could get away and start running away. And then I start presenting Athens with real trouble in terms of, hey, do I let the Spartans just get back here and rule while I try to chase down this fleet? Or what? What is the answer that goes? You got to be kind of careful. You don't want to leave your homeland too far, I guess, especially if you're Sparta, because the Athenians can come and cause all kind of problems. But if you're Athens, the Spartans can come and get some extra cash off of you. So in both cases, there's a reason to be kind of near the Peloponnesian center, but maybe not. It's not a game-winning issue. It's not like, oh no, Athens doesn't have anything near it, it's going to fall. And now Sparta has taken the isthmus back, and I gotta march somewhere. Yeah, that covers that. We'll take part of Thessaly. We can only take one city per turn. We don't have enough troops and enough leaders to take more than one. But we have this battle here too. We'll take a quick look at 26. Let's leave a Spartan leader here. To 14. Not quite 2-1, which means it's the 150. And that means a 5 or a 6 is the only way we crush them. Now, if we crush them, that's a big deal. That changes the dynamic significantly. We do not, which means they didn't meet. And we'll go into the last turn of the year. We'll finish that up and then send this video up. For the Spartans in the final turn, they don't have enough money for all their land units, so they had to reduce by like 4 strength points. That would have made this completely neutered. I want to keep my land power over there. I think I can win the battle overall somehow because of that, but we're not sure. But who knows? Playing the whack-a-mole game here, built myself a fleet. I actually had enough money for extra fleet. Ran down here because now the isthmus is open, and I sailed up here, and I'm trying to steal Euboea away from the Athenians. So now they're not going to get the naval price. Well, Athens has a lot of naval cash. I don't know this, but they have a lot of cash on hand. So this isn't going to hurt them too much, but maybe they can't win the battle there. Maybe they're not strong enough to be able to root me out of there, and then it becomes kind of problematic. But this has gotten weaker. Maybe they can win that battle. I don't know. It does not help the Spartan cause, as they rolled a success over on the 4-1 table, but one that killed a quarter of their army here. So now they're in a weaker position than they were. And that leads me to interesting choices with the Athenians again. The Athenians... Fuck, I forgot to count my navies. Hold on. I think they're fine, but I want to make sure I get the right points for that. I did their land. I'm always doing the land and then forgetting the navies, or one or the other. What happened was I owed $3 in maintenance because I lost Euboea. You always want change in hand. I think the Athenians had the strength to make a challenge on either of these. This one I know would be the 150. Let's see what this one works out as. The decision was based on, well, 150 is not very good. Maybe I'm better on the navies. But also, if I can wipe out the Spartan navy, I have a lot more freedom. Then they have to work to build that navy back up. Their initial navy was, constructed over here and pulled over. Well, there's no leaders over there. It's going to be work to get to collect up a navy that'll be able to face us down, so we can get kind of a free hand, at least on the coast here, and start starving out some of their land production and maybe steal more territories up in the north or something. Okay, so this hex is my battle. I've got 14, 19. Oh, it was a big city. I didn't count on that. 19, 26 to 19. Well, 19 and 10 is 29. I'm actually only at the 125. Ouch. Which means I need a 6 to win this battle. I should have gone for the other one, because it's more important to do something when you have the advantage than nothing. And I do nothing. Shit a town. Never mind, it's an in-joke related to Dominion. That is the end of the year 431. And now we're going to 430, counting backwards. So this is our situation. And you can see, things don't fall obviously. And the fact that you can split forces and, you know, now the Athenians are down here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're further away from these. If these guys had something they could do, they could run up and go do it. But unfortunately, they're sitting in the middle of their homeland, so they're not really free to play. But this is free to keep running. And then Athens has to make a choice. Does their fleet deal with, which of the smaller forces does their fleet deal with? And they probably want to chase the fleet down. And the thing with that is, if they can't destroy it, if they let it play on its own, it can split up into a couple of fleets conceivably and do some damage. I don't know how many leaders are there, but I believe it's only one. But if they had multiple leaders, they could split it up and do some real damage. And there's a leader over here, so maybe that could happen. Leaders are a rare commodity in actually both of the scenarios for this game, but yeah. Right then, so we'll send this one out. And it is kind of fun, you know. I'm not sure how many plays there are in it. There may be a pattern to the game that is only broken by someone taking one of those. That pattern may be a way to win, but I suspect that if both players play well, you can never win this game, which makes it very similar to the other one, except it's not explicit in the rules.